Hi Ben, hello Jack. I'm going to have to change the greeting on my videos because I now have a third subscriber. Welcome to the Unexploded Creeper, who may or may not be called Harvey, I couldn't possibly say. So, welcome to my world. Yes, so let's start that again, shall we? How shall I start? Howdy, folks, or hi there, people. I'll have to work on it, I think. Anyway, what have I been doing since the last video? I've done lots of things. The Iron Golem farm is now up and running. Managed to get the villagers up there. You can see I've got quite a lot of iron in there, though I've been using it up at a horrendous rate. Both because I'm still building the pyramid under my beacon. Don't think I showed you my wither fight, so I've shown you one of those before, so I didn't bother to include it. I have built myself an elevator here. Enderpearl elevator. Partly my own design. Trapdoors here. That sends me down. And then going back up. String on the tripwires up there shuts the trapdoors again. And then that opens them again. So that's my way up and down to the islands now. Saves me going up that irritating spiral staircase. I have got my villager breeding cell up and running, and built myself a trading centre down there, which I will show you in a bit. Organised the sheep into different colours, rather than having them all in one field. I've expanded on the cactus farm, though I've actually reduced the number of cactuses in there because it was getting ridiculous, the amount of cactus I've got. I've also got a layer there for wheat, and I was going to do extra layers for the other crops, but I think I will be expanding it for wheat only. And then over here I have a sugarcane farm, which I'll also show you in a moment. But first of all, I'm going to go and sleep the night away so we can see it in the daylight. Okie dokie. This is based on, well, it's actually a copy of a design that I picked up from a video by Mumbo Jumbo, which I will try to link in the description. Basically, you have pistons behind each of the sugarcane plants, which every couple of minutes push any sugarcane that's grown off the edge. It's collected on water over ice into these hoppers. Got lots of iron for making hoppers now, but it does use up a lot. And collects down into these chests. It's not terribly efficient because I haven't built it very tall, but seeing as it's running continuously, it doesn't have to be very efficient. This is the clock underneath here, which is just a basic hopper-based clock. I believe I've shown before. A few bits of the sugarcane, you saw the pistons go there. A few bits of the sugarcane do end up getting caught on the ledges and sort of glitching out. You just keep seeing the same ones dropping down all the time. But, as I say, it doesn't have to be terribly efficient because it's running continuously. Why do I need all the sugarcane? I need the sugarcane to make paper for the villagers. Particularly I need to trade lots of paper with librarians for emeralds. Right. So let's have a look at the trading centre. I put a lot of effort onto the inside of this. I picked up the idea for this sort of layout from another video. I will, hang on a second, I will look it up to make sure I give the credit where it's due. Okay, that video is by Tango Tech. His version of this is an awful lot more complicated than mine, because his version has trapdoors or something under the villagers, so that when you want to get rid of them, you can just press a button and it drops them down into a water stream which carries them away to a lava pit. I just hit them with a sword, which does stop the villager breeding cell from working for a few minutes, but doesn't really concern me all that much. Don't know if you saw just now, this is where the villagers come up from the breeding cell, and then there's a water stream across the top which goes all the way around here and drops them down the end there if there's no space for them. When one of these cells is empty, let's see if I can find one I can empty. I don't really want that trade. You can die. There's a trapdoor, not trapdoor, pressure plate rather, down there, which the redstone up the back causes the piston to push that across the top. So that when there's an empty space like this, the villagers going across the top will just drop down into it and then close off the gap above. Anyway, the redstone for this is quite bulky, so there's quite a lot of space between the inside of the trading hall and these outside walls, which has caused me a slight problem, because my villager breeding cell is down there and it needs direct access to the sky, which means I can't complete this bit of the outside wall. What I shall have to do, I think, just to make it look a bit better, is to make it look as if the floating island has collapsed at this point and taken some of the wall away with it. So I'll break this up a bit around the edges. But it's working, that's the main thing. To make it look good later. Right, what am I going to be doing today other than showing you round? I want to build myself a cow farm, which I'll need to get the leather to make books, again for trading, and also for doing item frames, so that I can label everything. That's one of the main things I'm lacking at the moment. But before I build that, I will have to go and find myself some cows. I'm going to build it up here on the same island as the sheep farm, which is partly why I reorganised my sheep to make space on here. And I'll try and get it sort of over on that side. I may have to expand this island slightly to make space for it. Or I don't quite know how deep it needs to be. I know it's got to be quite wide. I'll have to see whether I can fit it in across here, slightly behind this. Anyway, I will go and find some cows and start a breeding program down there somewhere, because it's going to be a pain to try and transport them up to this island. I'm going to have to build myself a rail track probably. Anyway, come back to you in a minute. Right, well, having explored all the plains area around here, I found a grand total of 2 cows, so I'm glad I didn't kill one of them earlier on. It's going to take me a while to breed them up, especially since I'm going to need 100 or so for my cow farm. Right, now then, let's go and take a look at the space that I'm going to need. Did it work that time? Last time I tried that, it actually dropped me back down again. Right. Okay, I've got a bit of a problem here. I've worked out how large my cow farm needs to be, and I haven't got enough space on here for it. Well, I've barely got enough space if I plonk it right in front of the sheep farm, in which case it would come right up close across the end of this path here. And part of the reason I wanted to move the sheep farm back was to give me a better route across here to the trading centre. So, it looks like I'm going to have to expand this island. Unless I decide to make another island, I suppose I could put another island sort of above and to the side here. I'm getting leg spikes. Why am I getting leg spikes? I'm just going to go and check that I've got my settings right. Back in a moment. Okay, well, I don't know what was causing that, but restarting the game seems to have fixed it. Anyway, yes, I was saying, not enough space on here to build the place. It's going to be as wide as the sheep farm and about 2/3 as deep, so back as far as the back of the yellow pen there. I considered putting it sort of underground or partly underground here, but even then it's going to block the view of the sheep farm. So I think what I shall be doing is making another island above this with another of those ender pearl elevators to get up to it, maybe, or something like that. Alternatively, I could just make another island over here and have a bridge across to it. I'm going to have to think about that. Okay, you may have noticed that a number of these islands aren't finished. The one under the villager trading centre, the one under the cactus farm, and the one under the sugarcane farm. One thing I've found with doing this sort of thing with the Sky Islands is that they're a lot of work to make when you want to actually get on with building what you want to put on them. So some of them I've never got round to actually making the island underneath. I've just done a platform, but I expect I'll get round to that eventually. Okay, well, I'm going to have to think about where I'm going to put this island. I've noticed that I've been doing an awful lot over to this side. Apart from the Iron Golem farm and the mob farm, everything is to this side of the house. So maybe I'll put the cow farm over the other side. Let's have a look and see what space we've got over here. Lots of space over here, yes. So I could have a path coming off from here to another island over this side. Right, I suppose I will get on with making that and show you. Well, I'll come back when I've made a platform and can start actual work on the cow farm. Okay, there we are. The cobblestone is the footprint of the inside of the building. So I've left space outside for a couple of layers for the walls. I might try to prettify the walls up on the outside, but I want the inside to look quite sort of grimy and industrial. It's not going to be a pleasant place for the cows. That's probably going to be where the edge of the island comes to on the outside here when I've finalised it, but I'm going to concentrate on the building itself to start with. Right, I'm thinking of going with a mixture of stone slabs and cyan clay for some of the inside. The outside walls will probably just be a mixture of different stone types, but the holding areas for the cows and bits and pieces like that inside will be then in these other materials. I'm just cooking up the remaining clay that I have to make as much stained clay as I can get. I think I should be able to make enough, though it's probably going to finish off my supply of clay altogether doing this. Right, I'll put in the floor, which will be in the stone slabs, and the main inside structure, and then I'll show you the progress. Okay, there's the most of the inside structure. The adult cows will be held in holding cells up the top row, and when we breed the adults, the calves will be pushed down into here, into holding cells down the bottom. Well, they'll stay until they grow up, after which time we'll dispense lava on them. Isn't that fun? Right, next step is to put some redstone in behind it. It's not terribly complicated, but we've sort of got to repeat everything for the 4 holding cells and for the 4 cells down the bottom as well. So I'll go and get some redstone. I think I'm going to just about exhaust my supply of slime balls with this. So I'm either going to have to go and find a swamp and spend some time hunting them, or I shall have to build myself a slime farm. I know for certain where there is a slime chunk underground, because there's a particular passage I've got downstairs which every time I walk along it I can hear slimes jumping around behind the walls. Right, redstone time. Okay, the redstone's done. It's not terribly complicated. There's actually 3 completely separate circuits here. I've put all the redstone on wood blocks, so I don't know where it is, and they're on 3 different coloured woods. So there's a button up the top here, which comes down this torch tower onto the birch line here, which just goes into the back of the upper holding cells. So there's a dispenser at the back of each of those with a water bucket, as you can see there. So you press the button once and the water's dispensed into the bottom of the holding cell. You press it again, it's sucked back into the dispenser. Then there's a button at this end on the middle level, which goes into the oak wood line here, and that goes into 2 pistons on either side of each holding cell. So there's one here next to this glowstone, and this one here which is behind the other glowstone. So there's glowstone either side of the holding cell, and pressing the button first of all retracts this piston, making a hole 1 block wide, 1 block high in the side of the holding cell, and then it extends this piston, pushing the glowstone across. Then that one closes again and this one pulls back, and it's got that same thing repeated for each of the holding cells. And then the third circuit is from a button here at the bottom level. It goes into the dark oak circuit, It's probably the most complicated. It's got this little circuit here. There's a sticky piston there with a block on top of it. So when you press the button, this block is powered briefly, and then the piston underneath it is powered and pushes the block out of the way. So you get a brief 1-tick pulse coming out these two different ways, and with the two repeaters here on full tick, it means that you basically get two 1-tick pulses sent down the line here for each time you press the button. And those go into the back of these dispensers, which are behind the bottom row of holding cells, and those will have lava buckets in them when I get them set up. So it'll dispense lava into the bottom here, setting the cows on fire, and then it'll pull it back into the dispenser. So if I press the button here, you can hear 2 ticks from each of the dispensers. I've actually got delays between each of the cells on each of these lines so that you can hear them all go off separately. This does the pistons. You can see that action there. And the one up the top, you can hear the 4 dispensers click. And again. So if I click it once, it's now got water in the bottom of each of them. Click it again and it's gone. I ran out of the cyan stained clay because I realised I needed to redesign it slightly. Originally the 3 buttons were going to be in a row down here, but I realised you'd have to go up to the top after you activated the dispensers to push the water out. Anyway, so I might as well have the button up there, and then I decided to split the buttons onto the 3 levels. So the building is going to be slightly wider than I originally planned, and it's also going to be 1 block deeper because I needed to make space around the back to put that torch tower in. You can see it's all flush with the what was the back wall here, except for this 1 or 2 blocks and a couple of redstone torches. Slightly annoying, but it's just to make it look right. Yes, I ran out of the cyan clay blocks, so I decided to put in some of these stone bricks and cracked stone bricks, so it makes it look like some of the paint's flaked off the walls or the plaster's come off or something. Like I say, I'm looking for a sort of grungy industrial look to the inside of this. I've done all the floor in slabs and stairs, so no mobs can spawn on here, no matter how dark it is inside. So I'm just going to have these pieces of glowstone are the only lighting. There's a couple of hoppers under each of the lower holding cells feeding into these chests to collect the drops. Right, so next job is to try and get the cows up here. I've been breeding them on and off, so I've now got up to 8. And I'd like to get 2 into each of these holding cells, so I'm going to have to build either a rail line up here or some sort of stairwell to drag them up on leads. Probably go with the carts, but it's not going to be fun moving them. We'll see, and they all are down there. Right, I'll be back in a minute when I've got that ready to go. Okie dokie, I have a rail line, and I hope the cows are not going to escape whilst I'm getting some of them up there. I've used no. I need to push him off the end of the rail there, but there you go. I haven't used any. Get back on there. Powered rails. I thought I'd just send them up like that. Now, I've only got the one powered minecart, mind you, so I have to push the other one up. Right, not going to happen apparently. Okay, I'll go and get the... I'm going to have to block that so they can't get out. I think that'll stop them, yep. I'm just going to push two of them up with the one powered minecart, but apparently that's not going to happen. So we'll go up here and try and get that one into one of the holding cells. No, don't get your sword out, Tim. I'm not going to beat them in there. I put a fence up round the top here, just temporarily. Come on, pull down the hole. Oh, well done. Didn't even have to push. Right, well that was easy. Get myself out and go and get the next one. No, don't let me do that. Come on, there we go. Right, back we go. Right, there goes the last one. It's been actually quite easy getting them up here. I did find that I needed to use two of the furnace minecarts a couple of times, just because they were sort of getting jammed up part way up. Oh, well, like they almost did there. Oh, this is the only thing I keep finding, is that the cows end up falling into the ground. So I've had to keep re-logging to... There we go. I should have two in each one. Let me just sign out and sign back in again. Yeah, that should all be back at ground level now. Right, so I can take this fence down. Got any wheat with me? No, I put it away because I was getting a full inventory. I have to go and get some in a minute, and I can show you what happens when you want to breed them. Just do a bit of tidying up first. Right, I've cleared the rail line, and I've fetched my wheat and cleared my inventory. So when you want to breed the cows, you would come up here, press the button, and the cows will start bouncing up and down in the water. So you can then just stand here and hold right click and bing. That's more like it. It works better when there's more cows in there, so I'll be keeping the babies in there for the time being. Right, so, and then you press the button again, and they all go back down to standing on the floor. And then if I wanted to separate out the calves, I'd press this button, and the calves, which are glitching through the floor, would get pushed across through the gap when this glowstone pulls back. The fully grown cows can't go through a one high gap because they're 1.5 blocks tall, so they'd stay in here, and the babies would drop down into these holding cells. See, that's underneath that glowstone, where we can then leave them until they're all grown up and then burn them and get the cooked meat. Right, the other advantage I have will be, you see there's the XP orb in there with them. When I use this to shove the calves down into the bottom, the XP orbs will also go down there, so I'll be able to collect those. I'll leave a slot. Don't think I can get them from up here. Oh, Is it coming up? It just thinks it is. It's going to glitch around my head all the time I'm standing here. Yes, these slots are 2.5 blocks wide, so I'll be putting glass in the upper two, and the XP orbs will be able to come out through the bottom. But the cows and the lava won't. Right. Well, I think that'll have to do for this episode. I will possibly do the outside of the building in another episode, or I might just do that off camera, depending on how elaborate I want to make it. I'm going to continue with the industrial theme by having the walls all made of stone of some sort. They'll probably be mostly just the smooth stone with some sort of facing around the outside of it to fancy it up a bit on the outside. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this project so far, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.